So is becoming digital as much of a mindset as a technology investment? And if so, why?
That's a great question, Michelle. It is. I actually think they're an equal measure. Oftentimes with technology change, I find that barriers to change, one of the barriers to change can be the culture of the credit union. Either a lack of willingness to adapt to new technology, which is rare, I have to say, or some other impediment that perhaps we can talk about that kind of gets in the way of technology change. So I always used to say that culture and business should drive technology, not the other way around. We shouldn't be a slave to technology. And therefore, having the right culture, being ready to change, being ready to act, is really as essential as having the right technology.
So I heard you say impediment. What is the most common impediment credit unions cite when attempting to upgrade their digital operation?
You know, I've been privileged, Michelle, to work with credit unions now for over 20 years. And throughout that time, I've seen four main barriers to change. Whether it's technological change or whether it's change, that doesn't have a technology focus to it. The first is resources. And you know as well as I do just how varied the credit union movement is in terms of the number and size of credit unions. And the smaller credit unions have a particularly tough time keeping up with all of the technology that's around today. But resources, being people and money, essentially, is a key impediment oftentimes. Second, the legacy systems that many credit unions have to deal with oftentimes aren't adaptive enough to allow for new technology to be easily deployed or integrated. Third for me is knowledge. And it's kind of what you don't know that gets in the way sometimes. We all do our very, very, very best, and it's very challenging to keep up with what's going on, and there's so much going on. But oftentimes being successful with a technology strategy requires fairly intimate knowledge of the technology that you're deploying and the environment it's going into. And then I think the fourth thing is what you mentioned earlier, it's culture. It's the ability for a credit union leadership to embrace change. And I always remember a quote, I think it was from Tony Blair, the British Prime Minister, which is probably appropriate in my case with my accent, but he once said, the dangers of inaction can be as great as the dangers of action. And I actually think that's very relevant in today's credit union movement. The dangers of us doing nothing, standing still, not adopting or adapting new technology, could be as dangerous for us as trying out new things.